Hello and welcome back to Gapeys Garden. Today I'm going to talk to you about my tomatoes. So we've had a pretty rough tomato year. The paste tomatoes have been getting hit with blossom end rot all year, and now we're starting to see some late blight, which is a lot earlier than it usually happens here. Our cherry tomatoes also aren't doing that great. I'll save that for another video, but today I wanted to talk about the paste tomatoes. So I'm in a valley here where we live, and there is a lot of fog in the mornings this time of year in the fall, and that increases the humidity quite a bit. Right now it's about 8 o'clock, 60 degrees and 99% humidity. And that usually starts up in the evening and all night long, and in the morning into early afternoon. It is very, very humid, and that is no good for tomatoes. And our figs are starting to also get a little bit moldy from all of this humidity. Hopefully we can find at least one of each variety to pick today, and we'll cut it open and see how it tastes. We'll start here with the best one. This one is not your typical shaped paste tomato. This one is called Cesare's Canastrino de Lucca, and it is a little bit wider in shape. And I didn't have any blossom end rot issues at all on this paste tomato, so I will probably be growing it again. However, this one is, I think, the only one that has had some splitting. So we had a lot of rain in July, and even when these were green, they were actually splitting. I'm not seeing any mold on these really, except for maybe one or two. This one has a bit of mold on that one, but most of them look pretty good. And I am not really seeing any blight on these tomatoes yet, but it's only a matter of time. But I think this one is definitely a keeper and one to grow again. We'll see how meaty these are when we cut into them, but hopefully those will be good for making sauce. Next up we have Federle, which is a fairly large paste tomato. Let's take a look at these bottom ones. These are the biggest ones on the plant, I think, so pretty good size. But as you can see, we've got blossom end rot on that one. This one is actually not have blossom end rot. It does look like it might have some blight possibly here on the top. But we've got mostly blossom end rot on a lot of these. This one has some funky stuff going on and mold on the bottom of it. You can see all these green ones have a lot of blossom end rot on most of those. Those are relatively small. Even up higher, we've got, this one is actually growing kind of funky. There's like two that are squished together, but one of them has blossom end rot and the other one doesn't. These are probably too small and won't mature, but yeah, so that one, I've only got maybe one that might be able to harvest. Now this one here is called Cipolla's Pride, and this one is a little bit wider of a tomato. Looks like possible late blight at the bottom of that one. This one is just starting to turn. There is blossom end rot going on at the bottom of that one. Let's see, hopefully we can find a few good ones in here. But we've got some ripe ones hiding back there, so I'll see if I can find one of those that looks good and worthy of giving a try. That one looks promising right there. But yeah, most of these are probably not going to be usable. And this one here is called Blue Beach. This is the very first tomato that started getting late blight. You can see here on the stem, this dark brown spot there, that is late blight. And we've got some late blight damage on some of the tomatoes. There's that kind of blotchy looking stuff there. This one has blossom end rot and is just kind of getting all moldy. So this one might be more of a challenge to find a good one. This is probably going to be our best bet. I'll just have to cut around that, and hopefully the rest of the tomato will be good. But this one probably did the worst out of all of the paste tomatoes. Everything else on the plant is still very green and also has a lot of damage. If not late blight, it's got blossom end rot. So a very poor choice for blossom end rot. We're going to start by cutting each one in half. This is the Canastrino de Lucca. It has a small spot of mold here on the top there. And then this one is the Federle. We've got the blossom end rot on the bottom there. This one is the Cipolla's Pride. And then this one here is the Blue Beach. Just looking at the color of these, the Canastrino de Lucca is a much deeper red. It does look like it might be a little bit more on the juicy side compared to the others. The Cipolla's Pride here, that one looks to be the most meaty, but it looks like the texture might be a little bit mealy compared to some of the others. This one here, this is the Federle. Obviously we're going to cut off the bottom there, but it looks like it was fairly dry once we remove those seeds. It doesn't look like it has a lot of moisture in there, which is really good for sauce. And then our Blue Beach here, that is looking probably the second deepest red and looks like it's fairly meaty as well, maybe a little bit juicier than this other one here. But let's see how the taste compares. So I'm going to cut off a little bit of the bottom here of this one since it has no blossom end rot. So this one is the Canastrino de Lucca. There isn't a whole lot of flavor, not very acidic, very, very juicy for a paste tomato. So it may require a little bit more reducing if we use this for a sauce. All right, now let's try a Federle. I'm gonna go ahead and chop off the bottom here because we don't want to try that part. This one has really good flavor, more acidic, more sweet. It has more texture to it. I think this would make a really good sauce. I really like the flavor of this one. Now let's try the Cipolla's Pride. Not as acidic as this one, but it is pretty sweet. A lot more flavor than the Canastrino. Pretty good texture, not quite as firm as the Federle. Now this one here, the Blue Beach, has a lot of blossom end rot and blight on the bottom, so I'm going to cut that bottom half off and try some of the middle. Really good flavor. The texture, it looks kind of mealy, but I'm not getting that mealy texture when I bite into it. The flavor is comparable to the Federle, sweet and acidic. As far as flavor goes, these two are my favorite, the Federle and the Blue Beach. They are really good flavor, but because of the blossom end rot issues on those, I don't know. If I had to choose between Canastrino and the Cipolla's Pride, I think I would go with Cipolla's Pride because it just has a lot better taste. I do like that I didn't get any blossom end rot on the Canastrino though, so it's a tough choice. I would probably mix this with another variety for making sauce. I don't think it would make a great sauce if it was just that one on its own. Cipolla's Pride, it wasn't completely blossom end rot resistant, but it was less resistant than these other two. So yeah, that's the dilemma we have here. The ones that got hit with disease the most are the ones that taste the best. So I'm probably going to try a bunch more different varieties next year. So that's my thought on the 4 paste varieties that I grew in the garden this year. I was really disappointed by all the blossom end rot issues we had, and I'll see what I can salvage from the plants in order to make some sauce, but I don't think we're going to have a whole lot this year. I'll have to give it another try next year with some new varieties. If you have a favorite paste tomato that doesn't have blossom end rot issues, let me know what that is, because I'm on the hunt for a good paste tomato that's more disease resistant than some of these varieties. But I think I would definitely grow some of these again. Maybe if I can get my blossom end rot issue under control, it might be better. I probably won't do the blue beech again because of the late blight issues with that one. Really, we can't avoid late blight here where I'm at, and if that one is super prone to late blight, then I probably shouldn't have that one in the garden unless I grow it in the greenhouse, which is a good option because I usually don't get that problem in the greenhouse. So these other three, possibly to grow again. Canastrino, I don't know, like I mentioned, the flavor isn't really that great on this one, but it would be a good one for, I guess, productivity and just having some filler in the sauce. But anyway, if you've grown these varieties before, let me know how they did in your garden. If you enjoyed the taste of this Canastrino, let me know. But that's it for the paste tomatoes for this year. I'll be doing some more videos later of the cherry tomatoes that I grew this season, which also had its own challenges. But thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you again soon. Just a couple more things on these tomatoes. I forgot to mention the skin when I was tasting these. So the skin on all four of these was very soft and not very thick at all. I didn't find anything unpleasant about the skin on these. I know some tomatoes could have a thicker skin or a chewier texture, but I thought they were all pretty good as far as the skin goes, fairly thin. And I also wanted to show you the seeds. So I did de-seed all four of those tomatoes, and I found that Canastrino de Lucca had the most seeds out of all four, and second was Federle. There were quite a few in there as well, and not very many seeds at all in blue beech, maybe a dozen or so, and same for Cipolla's Pride, very few seeds there as well. So I'm going to be saving seeds from all four of these varieties for future growing or seed trading. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. You can also find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.